standard. We dress up and we do not wear black. It does make a change from cycling shorts. So, you know, one thing I want to do today, and you say, I think it's time that we stopped betraying women. And I think that's something that we've been doing. And we kind of tiptoed into this betrayal of women, using language like Hannah said. So men tell us, trans women aren't a threat in refuges, and I'm going to talk about refuges mainly. Or, you're saying all trans women are violent, if we mention Karen White, the rapist. Or you're a bigot who wants to exclude trans women who suffer domestic violence more than women do, for which there are no valid statistics. And what this does is this centres the man who believes he's born in the wrong body, for which there is no valid evidence. Because for women, their experience at the hands of violent men is not science fiction. They don't wake one day and find themselves in the wrong body. They wake up and find themselves fighting for their lives. And being raped sometimes, or shielding their children from attack. And they wake up to find that they're still facing a day where they will be humiliated and degraded and shamed and stripped of their confidence and human dignity by a man who hates them. And he doesn't hate them because they are born in the wrong body, but born in a woman's body. Domestic violence is overwhelmingly a male-on-female crime, not a gendered crime, a sexed crime. And between 2009 to 2015, 598 women were killed by intimate partners or family members. And in that time, there were 6 trans women killed by anyone, not intimate partners. So the dead bodies are female. Okay? We need to make that distinction that, you know, these statistics that keep coming out aren't actually statistics, they are plucked from the air. So, will a trans woman harm a woman in a refuge? And we're assured they won't. Why won't you let them in? Now, I don't know why we're even asking this question of ourselves as women, or why we're being forced to consider it at all. It is not the moral obligation of abused women struggling to stay alive to care about the tiny minority of men who believe they are women, while retaining a penis, as the majority of these men do. Women who need recovery space have got no obligation, either morally or legally, to give up their sex-based right in law to a single-sex space in a women's refuge. That's protected in the Equality Act. We do not have to seek that. That was protected specifically for use by refuges, rape crisis centres, etc. And I'm going to say, you know, something that might not go down well, but I'm disappointed at the moment in any refuge or domestic violence advocacy service currently bending over to the trans-ideological terrorists, yes, terrorists, to allow male-bodied people into their refuges and services alongside women. And I know that the women on the front line of those services do not want that to happen. They do not want that to happen. And those women are under threat. The management are sometimes bowing. So yes, that includes Women's Aid. And you're currently suggesting that after review, and if there is any change to the Gender Recognition Act Women's Aid, that men who identify as women will be able to come into your refuges, or work for you on helplines, or counsel abused women. And I know that you do this from fear of attack and threats to your funding, and I know that you'll be hounded, and you'll be vilified, and you'll be threatened, I know this, and I know how difficult it is to stand up to that. And the staff working are experiencing this all the time, even if all they do is like a tweet that's critical of the trans ideology. A woman from a specific Women's Aid refuge contacted me recently and said that all she did was like a tweet, and a world came down on her head. She didn't say anything, she just liked to tweet. But what you've got here, women sat alongside me, and many others have been doing it for years, but they have fought to change that dialogue for you. And they've changed that social arena. And Posey's standing up this week, and the incredible attack she's taken, just to be able to say, you know, what she said this week over and over again, it's changed it. And we've put our jobs and our lives, and in some cases the lives of our children, on the line for you, Women's Aid. We have spoken out so that you too can be brave for the women who need you to be brave for them. And if you let men in refuges, you have betrayed women. And it's time to stop betraying women. So refuges were set up by women, for women. And that's adult human females, as we keep saying. And the greatest harm for the woman in a refuge comes from the man who she escapes. There is a reason women are moved to different cities. Going to refuge isn't like staying at a mate's for a bit. A woman escapes the imminent threat to her life. And she isn't just a bit fed up, she's disorientated, she's dispossessed, and she's desperate in every imaginable way. And she could be murdered without help. Now, I didn't need a refuge, and I had some resources. And I had women guide me over a number of months, maybe even a year, towards women's services. And I grew strong in a kind of steady way, and I planned, and I had help. I was very, very lucky. Even with that luck, even with that support, it was hell. And I took him back more than once. And I'm not ashamed of that, because on average a woman leaves a man 7 times before she's finally free for good. And this is the point. The chains that you've got to break are made of years of his work, and it's terrible work, shackling your mind and your body to his male will. And you're not actually free of him for years, if ever. Some part of his terror may remain with you for your lifetime, and it does for me. And I'm going to speak about Helen. It remains for my beautiful Helen even beyond her death, and there is a point to this. She was my best friend, and it was her funeral today. And even as her children weep tonight, and they will, her husband John pursues a 25% share of the home she worked 3 jobs to keep for years since she left him. And he will make his own children homeless to get revenge on Helen. He doesn't need the money. He needs a final triumph over that woman. They don't let it go until the death. And he harassed her throughout her 2-year battle with terminal cancer. And Helen also knew that she would be pursued when she left her first violent partner. 2 violent partners. She lived in Chicago, and she knew that she needed to put the Atlantic between them, at least. And she left for the airport with a bag on one arm and her first baby under the other arm. Because she knew that if she ever went back, death waited for her. And she needed to put an ocean between herself and the man who terrorized her with a broken bottle. Even though she was struggling with the pain of cancer, she was terrified of her second husband making her homeless. And emails make you shake, and texts make you shake, worse than the cancer that ravaged her body. I saw her, I saw the cancer, I saw the chemo, and then I saw when an email dropped from him, there was no comparison. It is men that terrify women. So you've got to break those chains, and also you've got to break the chains from, we can't decipher between men who say they are women and actual, men, because they're all the same. And a piece of paper, a legal document downloaded from the internet, will get these determined men, that can continue until your death, easy access to a refuge. And if blokes tell you this, which they keep saying, oh, no way, the laws will protect you, you'll be fine, this is nonsense, there are already laws protecting you. Well, that's a lie. That's what law is. Law gives people the right to do things. And you want us to pretend that there's no threat to us. Well, we're not going to pretend. I will not betray women. And when I left my abuser, I didn't sleep through a night for months. The blinds are still never closed in my bedroom at night, because I still remember the nights waiting for dawn. And I heard every rustle of leaves as though it was his footsteps in the back garden. And every car passing was his car. And I was waiting for the sound of the petrol being poured through the letterbox, because he's a convicted arsonist. And this is what happens when you first left a man. You're listening, you're alert, you're waiting, you don't know what's coming. Whether you're in your own home, but specifically if you felt it necessary to go to a refuge. And he said, when I said he couldn't come into my house that I bought, he said, well, I hope your house burns to the ground with you in it. And it didn't matter to him that his child would be in it too. Because if you decide to leave a violent abuser or you throw him out, you do a very brave but also a very dangerous thing. And he will still be there, wanting to get to you. He doesn't ever walk away. And if you survive that bit, you're not free. You're not safe. The most dangerous time for a woman is right after she leaves. And according to the UK femicide census, 77.4% of women are killed in the first year after leaving their partner or spouse. So stop telling us about how refuges have to allow men who say they are women in. Prioritise the women in them. Ask them. And a woman contacted me recently who has just fled to a refuge after reading the things that I write. And I'm very proud of that, actually. Sorry, but I am. I don't need to give you my words about her words because she says them just perfectly herself. But she's in a refuge right now, and she's trying to recover. And some of this is quite upsetting. So when you ask, how does a woman in a refuge feel about men who think they are women, tiny minority again, often with a penis, should they be in that same space? Should she object? Because we're being told that she shouldn't. Why doesn't she think about their needs as well as her own? Well, I'll say this. Why the hell should this woman consider a man's needs? Her words. So this is my story. You can use it if you wish. I hope one day it may help others. My first encounter with male violence was at 6 months old. My dad damaged my skull after he punched me. Violence continued against me until I was 3. When he then, sorry, I'll have to just lost my, I can't see this bit. Until I was 3. When he then locked me in a bedroom and set fire to our house. Thankfully, I was rescued by the fire department, but was immediately put into care. And things were fine until I reached 9. That was when the sexual abuse started. I was living in a care home. One of the carers was male. He abused me until I was able to leave at 16. After that, I met my husband. From the start, he beat me, raped me, and financially destroyed me. But at that point, I thought I deserved it. After all that has happened through my life, I convinced myself that something was wrong with me, and this was all my fault. So I went along with it. I was defeated. 10 years later, I happened to find Mumsnet, and from that I found you. You changed all that for me. You gave me strength I never knew possible. You showed me this wasn't my fault. You showed me what happens if you stay. So I managed to flee. I have to live with the repercussions of my life daily. I suffer PTSD. I can't handle being around men. I don't think I'll ever be able to. She says, you've changed my life. But the key thing here is, I can't handle being around men. And she knows what a man is. Tell that woman she doesn't know what a man is when she's suffered so much at the hands of them. So this is how I'm going to end. I will not betray that woman. Please do not betray that woman or any other woman who needs a refuge. Do not betray women.